Hello, and welcome back to the Ask the Color Expert podcast. Today's special guest is Stacy Monroe. She is a salon owner, a salon business coach, and a friend. We met several years ago, pre-pandemic, and we've kept in touch and have a lot in common. And she's here to talk about all of the new projects that she has coming up. So welcome, Stacy. Thanks for coming to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on here, and I'm so glad to see you again. We don't get to see each other a whole lot. So thank you for having
I'm
me.
very jealous that you live in California. I was happy to see you in Southern California, and I'm like, oh my,
Yeah.
the weather is so beautiful. And
Yeah.
you were a little bit blonder the last time I saw you. I'm loving the
Yes.
color of yours. You're a little bit deeper. It's nice and shiny
Yeah.
and gorgeous.
Yeah, you know what? When you saw me, I did a level 6 on my roots, but in my cabinet, I did not have a level 6. So I had to do level 5, when you just have to improvise. And I actually brought it home too. And I had my daughter put it on my roots because she just graduated beauty school. So she
I
put them
saw
on.
that. And how cool was her graduation? They didn't do that
It was
at my
so fun.
graduation.
Oh no, beauty school
Dancing
is,
down the thing with the
yeah,
music and everybody's, all the families are there. Mine was like,
yeah.
you start on one day, you finish on another day, you go home and you tell your parents you're done. There was no
Yeah.
fanfare whatsoever.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. They wear those nice dresses and yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Beauty school is not like it used to be.
Not at all, thank goodness. But
I know.
I have to ruffle feathers here. I do not think that the content has been upgraded enough. Yes, she had a wonderful graduation,
Yeah.
but I think that you'll agree that you you being her mother is going to be an edge for her. But had she just came out of school and had no mentorship, nobody to lean on, I still feel like there's not enough time to get everything in. I know it's not only the school's fault. I think it's a state thing. It
For
comes from the
sure.
top. But I just
Mhm.
remember spending so much time on pin curls,
Yeah.
stand-up pin curls, finger waves, wash and sets, all the things that as an almost 40 years in the industry, you and I are both about the same amount of time in the industry.
Yeah.
I've rarely had to use any of those things that they spent all of that time on,
Yeah.
including at my boards, which I'm from Pennsylvania. I don't know about California, but Pennsylvania completely did away with the practical exam.
Yeah,
Now
they
you
don't
only
have
have to
that.
take a written test. So I'm
They,
like,
they it's just written now.
that's
Exactly. And
crazy to me.
I know. And when we went to beauty school, didn't you do hair like after 2 weeks you were on the floor like all day? They're not like that. It's only the last 6 weeks, I think, at beauty school. They do hair 3 days a week. That's it.
Wow.
That's it. So yeah, so there's a lot of training we have to do, but luckily she's kind of a natural in a lot of ways, because my other two daughters are hairstylists. So we're all a family of hairstylists and she's
Oh,
been around
I
it her
didn't
whole life.
realize that. I thought she was the
Yeah.
okay, that's amazing. Yeah, my kids were like, wanted no parts. Now,
Mhm.
Bryn took over the salon for the past 5 years, but she
Okay.
had to really be, talked into it
Yeah.
because, and I know you can relate to this as a salon owner, the salon and the business part of it was always the subject of contention and fighting at the table. We were always bickering about decisions that needed to be made for the
Yeah.
salon, not realizing our little ears were
Yep.
listening to it all. So when I said to her, I want to pick up and move to Florida, I want you to take over the salon if that's something that you would be into, because both of my kids went to school for an entrepreneurship major. So they knew they wanted to be business owners, but just like you come out of beauty school and you're like, okay, now what? They came out of college saying, yeah, we want to start our own business, but what the heck does that look like? So
Yeah.
like, this is a good way to try it on. She does not want to do it anymore. Like she couldn't believe how hard she just keeps saying, how did you do this? And be
Yeah.
a mom and help me with my homework. And
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, it's really hard. So I'm not afraid to be raw and authentic on this conversation with you because you and I talk all the time about how freaking hard it is. Now, your salon is chair rent and mine is commission. So I'm excited to talk about that because I got to tell you, Stacy, I always looked up to you and people who could do chair rental because in PA you cannot. So that was never an
Oh,
option for me. So I would fantasize about I have these great people and they're all booked and busy and if they could just do their own thing and just pay me a set amount every week and I want to, but you and I both know after having several lunches together, your headaches are just as much as my head. The commission versus rental,
yeah.
I don't think is enough of a difference for the stress factor. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely it's a little bit different. You have a little bit more free time for yourself, so to speak, but no matter what, you're still, you still have to be a leader to all of the people. And that's the hardest part really, is just leading, and then lead by example, and still make a profit, because you don't want to do it. It's a lot of work for nothing,
Yes.
so yeah, it's still a
Yeah,
lot.
I see a lot of confusion as far as, you'll see somebody talking on a Facebook group and they'll say, I'm a rental salon. What do I do about, they'll say something like my new renter wants to use a different kind of color. How do I go about ordering? And I'm like, you're not a rental salon if you're ordering their color. Like there's a
So
lot of
true.
misclassification and a lot of people thinking they can do, have somebody come in and work and just 1099 them, which is totally not okay.
Oh yeah,
There's
I
a lot
went
of
through.
people not paying any hourly wage. It's like straight
Yeah.
commission, and they're not paying them anything, and that's not legal either. So I think the new solo suite setup and all the changes in the rules as far as the
Mhm.
State Board of Cosmetology, it's like a shit show. It's like the wild, wild west. I've never seen it more confusing and more
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, you make a really good point to the suites, because I wondered, like, gosh, why are so many people choosing that? I mean, I have a ton of answers, but at the same time, you just kind of made me think about, I did go through an audit, because back in the day, I've been open for 30 years now. So back in the day, I was doing 1099s, and I got audited. I got flagged by a couple of people that used to work at the
I was going to
salon.
say it has to be someone who worked there and ratted you out. That's
Yes.
exactly what
One
happened.
girl said, it's so true. I was audited by the state of California, and my contracts were not good. And so I went through an audit and all that. So I ended up paying a labor law attorney $2,000 to write up a California either independent contractor contract or rental contract. And so I did have somebody try and even fight that one, but there was an arbitration clause. So then I had to go to arbitration. But each one of these cost me like 25, 30,000 to defend myself.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's a really hard part about being an owner. So one of the things you have to just be straight is how to eliminate, lawsuits, bankruptcies, audits, all of that. I learned the hard way on all of that stuff. But yeah, suites, I mean, I guess I can see why a lot of people go there, because they have no one to answer to. They do their own rules.
I had to laugh though. There was I have a WTF file in my phone of like some of the things that people say that I'm like, really? I have to screenshot it. I have to put it in there because it always makes a great podcast or a great topic in my monthly member calls where I'm just like, really? Like, this is what this person thought. So someone said, I'm so excited. It's my first year renting a suite and it went really well. I did $68,000 and I get to keep it all. And she said something, and then someone said, well, did you put aside money for taxes? And she's like, what's that?
Oh
What's
no.
that?
Okay,
Because she
that's a good
came
one.
from a salon where you and I are taking care of all that. We're making sure, well, you're not, but you don't have
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
but
No, I
we're
have.
making,
I have though.
oh, you do too? Okay. So I have to do that. And I have to I have to pay my part and their part and all the things. And everybody was answering saying 68,000, you're going to owe about 24,000. And she was like, dumbfounded that
Oh,
she owed
wow.
this money. And then they started to talk about in like a side, you start getting the bullies in there that are really
Yeah,
nasty and there's all these little fights. That's like the Real Housewives version of my life is
I
Facebook
love it.
fights.
I love it.
So people were talking about the rent and it looked like the average cost of being a suite renter
Yeah,
is like 16 to $1,800 a month. You and I know you can get a nice salon and have employees of your own for that rent. Like that's
yeah,
insane. I was thinking it was like maybe, $800 a month. Like it made sense to just be
yeah,
by yourself and not get into overhead. But I
yeah. It
wanted
is
to say
very good.
before my ADD clicks in that you went through all that with your contracts and with being audited. And, as much as all of that really stinks and we look back and say, oh my gosh, how did I survive all of this? I love the saying, your mess becomes your message. And that's what I love about you because when we get together, our brains are ready to explode with all of the ideas that we have to give back and help an industry that's been so good to us. Yes, we've gone through shit. We have
Yeah,
gone through some shit, but We've made an amazing living and we're independent, brave women that have accomplished a lot. And we now are at a stage in our career where it's important to us to help other people. And I love that you have two big projects coming up, one leaning more towards the salon owner. So you're somebody who's going to give those owners the heads up, like, do you have a contract for your renters or your employees? Do you have, for us, we use a corrective hair color contract that really
Oh,
has
okay.
protected us and made a difference.
Oh,
So
nice.
having someone in your corner, having a coach like you that has all of these years experience is invaluable. Of
Yeah.
course, there's 8 million people out there saying, buy my course, buy this, buy that. But there are people that have been doing hair like 5 to 7 years. To put it bluntly, they haven't been through enough shit to really,
Or
to
they're not
really
even doing
get
hair anymore.
or
Yeah.
yeah.
They're not doing hair anymore. They're not owning a salon anymore. You know what I mean? It's like I am in the trenches just like you and everybody, I mean, it's different if you're in the trenches still and if you're not. And then you also see other coaches um getting content from people's comments and then doing trainings around it. So I'm thinking, that's kind of really not fair. But I mean, they have a lot of value to give too, like, but I'm in the trenches like everyone else. And, I have had uh commission stylists, assistants, all of that. In my 30 years, I had a hybrid salon where we did everything, right? So I've done it all. It's just recent that I became a rental salon once we reopened after the pandemic. Um, and it's been really great. And then I just was going to say something about that. Oh, I recently raised the rent. And I got to tell you, I was terrified because I hadn't raised the rent in like 15 years. So that's something that's really hard also. Is like you don't want to upset anybody, you worry about upsetting your team, and then just having people quit, And so I had to like come to realize that I was having a little bit of fear, which I don't normally have. And
Mhm.
so I got rid of that fear. I raised the rent, and guess what? Nobody even batted an eye.
Well, think about your owner of your building. He didn't have fear raising your rent. Like
That's
people
true.
forget that
Every
it's coming
year.
from what
Yeah.
we're experiencing. We all
Mhm.
have to raise up our bar because the
Yeah.
building, everybody's trying to catch up from COVID, unfortunately.
Everybody
Everybody's
is.
like so behind from that.
So
And
true.
I don't know about you, but grocery shopping has
Oh,
become like you need to hit the lottery to get everything that you
yeah.
want. I've
Oh my
never
gosh.
ever in the past said, well, no, I shouldn't get this time. Let me put it back. I'm doing that now because I'm like, and I just saw an article. I thought I was losing my mind because I'm like, is it really that much more? There was an
Yeah.
article that said Florida is one of the states that has had the biggest increase in grocery store receipts in the
Mm,
whole country.
okay.
It's insane. But I want to also, you had said just in the last part that we were talking about, you said, I've really done it all. And
Yeah.
that leads me to your book. I enjoyed your
Oh,
book so much. We didn't even talk about that in your introduction, but
thank you.
you really have done it all. You've seen it all. You've had a, quite a sparkly life. So
Yeah.
I love how much you share. Like I have my book, my things
Yeah.
behind me, A Colorful Journey, and I go into a tiny bit about me in the beginning and then it's boom right into hair color, where your book is so raw and real and genuine. It's like reading like a Jenny McCarthy book or a Britney Spears book. Like it's like so much more than hair and the business of hair. And I love how you were able to do that and keep me, Miss ADHD, entertained throughout the
Well,
book. So
thank you
thank you.
so much. Thank you for saying that. I had been writing that book for many years, so to speak, because I journal a lot. And during the shutdown, I joined a group and I wrote it in 7 days with this group. That was the challenge, right? And I did have a head start, so to be fair, but I did rewrite it like probably at least 3 times before we got the final, book. But that writing that book really was very therapeutic for me too. And I have a
Absolutely.
lot of clients who have read it and they always have something to say. There's a lot of tears in my chair about how they could relate, and so I'm so glad that I wrote that book. Thank you. It became a bestseller too when we launched it, which was kind of nice.
So while we're talking about share the name of it and how people can find it, are you on Amazon with it?
It's on Amazon and it's called The Journey Back to Self. And the tagline is Discover You Are the Light You Seek. Because, we're always searching for that inner peace, and it really is there all the time. Everything that we need to be is within. And so it's the journey that we go through that we get better at relying on ourselves and loving ourselves and opening up our heart and forgiving. And yeah, so it's my journey.
I love that. My self thing is I've always looked at self-care as selfish. It's
Yeah.
like something that I've carried with me for a long time. And this year I went to a mini retreat. You and I have so much in common. Every time we talk, it's like, well, did you do this? And how about this one? And we believe wholeheartedly in our success, and our growth has come from finding people who are a little bit further ahead than
Yeah.
us and coaching and lifting us up. Like we probably, between the two of us, have $500,000 invested in coaches and programs and all the things. But I think I can speak for you in saying that we wouldn't do it differently. I wouldn't undo a single one of them, because
Yeah.
when you know better, you do better. And every single new thing that I discover is like, wow, I didn't know life could be this good. And then I do something else. I'm like, wow, I didn't know it could be even better. I think that especially in the hair salon industry, we start out like your daughter. We come
Mhm.
out, we're like a newborn deer with wobbly legs. We don't know what's up. We don't know what's going on. Where should we work? Every salon we go to wants us to shampoo, fold towels, sweep the hair, and tear foils. We feel like we're not learning. We get frustrated. We jump. We may go to, which this pains me, people go to hair cuttery, fantastic stand, the
Mhm.
chains where
Yeah.
it's like rush, 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 get everything done in 15 minutes
Yeah.
because we have an $8 haircut here and you have to make a living. So then they get discouraged with that. And then a big giant chunk of them go either back to college for x-ray tech or a nurse or a
Yeah.
teacher. There seems to be a correlation there with teachers and hairdressers and nurses and hairdressers,
Yeah.
and they give up. If they don't give up, they are like you and I, fight through the struggle.
Mhm.
We make it work. And then we push, push, push. And then we start a business because we're like, oh, well, that'll be great. That's the
Yeah.
American dream. And then we have all of that go on. But if we never hired a coach, if we never learned anything outside of what our own life experience was,
Mhm.
we would not live the life that we live now and experience what we experience, because you're in survival mode all the time. Like if you're listening right now and you're a stylist behind the chair, you're so thrilled that you're booked and busy that you're not looking up. We have like, tech neck and hump neck from having our heads down the whole time doing hair. And
Yeah.
we don't even look up to see that there is the ability to write a book, a memoir
Yeah.
about your life. There is the ability to get up on stage and teach at a hair show. There's the ability to run, in-person retreats like I do. And I know that you want to do. So
Yeah.
there's so much more, but it seems so overwhelming with having kids and spouses and, properties to manage and businesses to manage. Like it can all seem so heavy. But something I heard recently that really just like has lit me up the last 2 weeks was, and I really want to give credit to the person who said it, and I can't, for it could be you for all I know. I can't remember who it was.
I hear you.
Somebody said, wake up every morning and say, universe, show me how amazing my life can be. Just show me. Because I'm a control freak, like total trying to recover control freak. I have a lot of push energy. And if I want something to happen, I will push and push and push until my body collapses and I get sick, because I'm like, I'm making this happen no matter what. And it's a very push energy. And this is the first time in 56 years after that statement
Yeah.
that I'm opening up to possibility. And the day that I said it for the first time, I
Yeah.
said, I had been wanting to book a solo trip. I think you and I talked about that. I'm like, I
Yeah.
want to go to Costa Rica. I want to go here. I want to go there. And I'm like, I'm tired of waiting for my husband to want to go, my
Yeah.
friends to want to go, for the perfect date and the perfect flight and the perfect everything. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave my calendar open this year. And if something pops up and it's a hell yes, because I'm very hell yes, hell no, there's no maybe with me.
Okay. Yeah.
If it pops up and it's a hell yes, I'm doing it. So I say the phrase, I go about my day. My best friend, it's her birthday that day. I go on Facebook to wish her a happy birthday and come up with a fun meme or GIF or something. And this guy is wishing her a happy birthday. And with his name is a clickable link that says Adventures to Tuscany. I'm
Oh,
like, that's been on my list. So I click on the link. No, I mean, I went there to wish her a happy birthday. It
yeah.
wasn't like I was searching Google for travel ideas. So I'm like, okay, universe, this is pretty cool. This is
Yes.
happening already. So I go on. I read the itinerary. I'm like, hell yes, hell yes, hell yes, hell yes to every single activity. A lot of times I'll read about something and it'll be a lot of being on a boat. I get sick on boats, or it'll be something like skiing. And I'm like, hell
Mhm.
no, I hate the cold. Like there's always a hell no. This one
Yes.
was hell yes, hell yes, hell yes. Until I started scrolling. It's like click here for dates and prices.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't care how much it is, I'm going. So I'm scrolling and it's like sold out, sold out, sold
Oh
out, sold out. Keep it
no.
sold out all the way till 2026.
Oh.
So in the fine print, it says, if you like what you see and you want to be put on our wait list in case someone has to cancel, I'm like, you know what?
Hmm.
Universe put this in my lap. I'm going with this. Pick up the phone, I call him. I tell him the whole situation and he's laughing. I said, this is my first trust fall and you were the first person that popped up. So I feel like this is meant to be. I said,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Tommy, I know by the time I hang up this call that I'm going to be going on that trip. And he laughed and he started talking about something else. And by the end of the conversation, I'm going on that trip.
Wow.
So
Did someone cancel
everything,
or did it fit you in?
no, this is what happened, and it's crazy.
Okay.
So I'm like a total bougie girl with travel. Like I want the shortest, most comfortable flight. I want the most, nice accommodations, has to
Yeah.
have air conditioning and a beautiful bathroom and all the things. I'm not Miss Hostel. So I'm talking to him and he goes, there is an extra room. You're at a villa in Tuscany with a small group.
Oh.
So he said there is an extra room that we don't ever rent out because there's no air conditioning. Air conditioning is always a non-negotiable for me. So I was like, but I'm like, you know what,
Hmm.
Elaine, you wanted to go on this trip because you want to be a little bit uncomfortable. That's a lot uncomfortable for you. So keep asking, keep talking. So he's describing it. I said, let me ask you, the rest of the house has air, right? I'm not going to be like melts it like a popsicle all day. He's like, no, the whole entire house has air except for your room. It's a
Oh.
small little room, smaller than all the others. It's a single bed. I'm by myself. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
And then he said, and your bathroom, you have to leave your room and go outside and go into another door. I'm like, that's fine. I do that in my house.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. And I said, listen, it's a 10,000 square foot villa. I'm not sleeping out in the wilderness in a tent on the ground. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't have air conditioning. I said, is there a fan? He said, yes. I said, if it's awful, because I am in menopause, Tommy, we have to factor that in. If it's really awful, can I go out to the living room and just grab a couch with my pillow? He's like, absolutely. I'm like, then sign me up. I'm in. So now
Okay.
it
So
gets
this is
better.
one big room house, and then you
One
just,
big
that's the
house
room
and
that,
I have
okay.
this
Gotcha.
room with
Gotcha.
no air. The rest
Sleeping
of the
on the
home.
couch. Yes. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So I do that and I commit to that. And then I said, you just found me an extra room in Tuscany. Is there a secret extra room in the Provence trip? There's one to France. And he was like, you know what, there is. He's like, can I get back to you? I'll reach out to the company. So as I'm waiting, I'm trying to decide, do I want to go to Provence? Big, big problems, right?
Yeah.
Provence, Tuscany, both I would love to go to.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I take my handy dandy post-its that are my life and I
Mhm.
write Tuscany on one, Tuscany on one and France on the other. And then I was like, I'm gonna be really bold. I like this new little universe thing. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
both on another one. So I had 3 post-it
Oh,
notes.
no way.
I folded them up into little origami squares and I closed my eyes and I did the Price is Right thing. I was
Yeah.
like, the shell scramble. I just kept moving them around, moving them
Mhm.
around, moving them around. I didn't peek. I closed my eyes. I said, universe, show me where I'm going. Show me
Mhm.
where I'm going. And I just kept moving them, moving them, moving them. I opened up and said both. So I'm doing
Oh,
both.
no way.
I'm doing both. And the drunk monkey that pops out, as you don't deserve it. This is
Oh, yeah.
selfish.
Mhm.
How can you even think about doing both? Some
Right.
people never get on a vacation in their whole life, and you're going to do 2 in
Yeah.
1 year. However, I look back at what I've been through and what I've done and how many people I've put before myself, always employees first over me,
Yeah.
always first one in, last one to leave, always going in on my day off, always doing all the things. And I'm like, I don't have like this pile of money sitting waiting for these trips, but one's in
Mhm.
June and one's in September. I'm going to make it happen. I gave up
Yeah.
my Starbucks runs. I'll give up my Marshalls runs. I'll give up all the little nonsense things that I do every
Yeah.
day that I don't even think about that add up to the amount of these trips to make
Yes.
it happen.
It's
So it's
amazing
just
how many trips people probably could go on if they
absolutely.
did that. Yeah, I'm getting ready to do my budget again too. I do it like a couple times a year. Everything gets written out. I renegotiate what I need to, stop what I need to, whatever it takes, to stay above and where you want to be financially. It's an ongoing thing.
Exactly. And when it comes to the salon,
Yeah.
enough about me, let's go back to salon. So when people aren't busy, like
Mhm.
people in my membership, people that I talk to, anywhere that I meet hairdressers,
Mhm.
the ongoing thing is I need more clients. I need more clients. And I say, okay, yes, everybody could use more clients, but what's happening to the ones that you have seen that have been in your chair? Where are they
Exactly.
going? Why are they not repeat client? Why are you not rebooking? So everybody always looks at like the new, the new, the new. But for me, I always really cherished and nurtured the bodies that were in my chair, made
Mhm.
them feel special and important. Think about the days I just was talking on FaceTime with my niece, and she works at an aesthetic spa. So she always feels like her makeup has to be totally on point.
Mm.
And she FaceTimed me, and I was like, "Where are you going? Like, you look like you're going to a wedding." And she said, "Well, I got ready for work and then they canceled because it's a slow day in the salon." So
Mhm.
a slow day is usually when we take the time to notice that one of our favorite clients, who's been our client for 15 years,
Mhm.
she's been gone for like 8 months and we didn't even notice
Yeah.
because we're so worried about chasing that new person,
Mhm.
getting new bodies in, that we don't really pay attention to the ones that have, paid us for all these years and are super loyal, that stopped
Yeah.
feeling appreciated.
Yeah, I like to ask clients who are in my chair that are middle-aged or, older, and I'm like, so how come you don't have a hairstylist? Like, why are you looking for someone new? And I learn a lot from their answers. So you make sure you don't do any of that. And yeah, I'm all about 95% retention rate. And that's what I teach hairstylists too, because, I mean, you just have to constantly be hustling if you're not maintaining your clients, right? Super important.
Somebody asked me the other day how many clients they need to have to be fully booked. And I was like, that is such a loaded question. Like, I'm happy to
Yeah,
help, but I need to know, like, how many hours a week do you want to work? How
exactly.
many days a week do you want to work? How many weeks vacation do you want to have? Like, I can't just say you need 136.5 client, you know what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah.
formulas, but it really does depend. And I think as well as, like, always paying attention to this and not paying attention to that, I think the fact that I'm able to plan these vacations is in the beginning of every year,
Mm.
I reach out to my high goal and I back it in. And I
Mm.
say, okay, if this is what I want to do, what do I have to do every single month to
Yeah.
get there? How much time do I need to take for this project and this project versus waking up every day saying, oh, well, what am I going to do today?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
you always have to be goal setting for sure. I think the last time I looked, it was a while ago, but when I was working 3 days a week and then when I was scaling to six figures, because there was a time where I was just working 1 day a week, making 500. And then went full time to make 100,000, right? So I wanted to make 2,000 a week instead of a month. And so I did it pretty quickly, but I remember looking at my client list and I was able to make 100,000 from like 50 clients, honestly. Like I was hitting that goal with those regular clients. And then you're always bringing new clients in too. So, I mean, so honestly, you don't even have to have a huge amount. You just have to have loyal ones that reschedule, that refer you, that kind of stuff.
And
Mhm.
properly charge them. I see all these
You have to
debates,
properly charge, yeah.
and I'm not popular in the debates because I have a definite opinion one way or the other. And sometimes I hold back. I'm starting to be a little bit more disruptive because I'm tired of staying quiet and seeing all the dysfunction. I'm thinking, you know what?
Yeah,
If I have a couple haters, I'm okay with that. In the beginning, I'm like, I want everybody to like me. I'm not going to say anything that could be,
yeah,
considered inappropriately
yeah.
opinionated. So when it comes to pricing,
Uh-huh.
we are a departmentalized salon. So when
Mm.
I first opened that location and started with that model,
Yeah,
clients were really butthurt about having their color be one price and their blow dry or their cut be another. And
okay.
I would have to say to them, you just saw that I did your color and Mary Beth did your cut. So
Mhm.
is Mary Beth supposed to work free because I did your color and I only get paid for your color? Like, when it's bundled like that, but two different people are doing the service. But I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't matter if it's two different people doing the service, one
Mhm.
person doing both services, it's still two services.
Yeah,
And people will argue till they're blue in the face. I think that's ridiculous to charge separate. I'm like, when have you gone to a restaurant where the waiter said, you know what, I really like you. You're a regular patron. So I'm going to give you an appetizer and not charge you. I'm going
yeah.
to give you a dessert and not, it doesn't happen. Maybe
Mhm.
on your birthday because they come around and do that annoying song and clap hands and scream and do their little ditty with pirate hats. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's you want an appetizer, you pay for it. You want a
Mhm.
salad, most times you pay for it. You want to like you go to a high-end steakhouse, you pay for your damn baked potato.
Yeah.
And nobody's complaining. But in a
So you
salon,
have, so you have a price for the color and then you have a price for the haircut style. Is
yep,
that what you're saying? You don't throw in the blow dry.
right.
Yeah, and I can see that because some people will take you a full hour to do the haircut and style. So why should you give them a break on that? Yeah.
And then blow dry wise, like, yeah, we could rough dry it and just get the moisture out because people will
Yeah.
argue and they'll say, well, you should want to see your client's color before they leave. I'm like, yeah, we have a blow dry station and the
Yeah.
client can go do a full blowout for themselves, but I'm not going to
Okay.
have an employee take up 5 hours of an 8 hour day doing blowouts for free. Like that would make
Yeah.
sense with an associate, an assistant, whatever. Like you could start doing that with your daughter to
Got
give them
it.
experience. That's a whole different thing. But these
Yeah.
are women that charge $95, $100 for a haircut, and they're
Mhm.
going to stand there and do my blowouts all day and not get paid for it.
Yeah.
So it just, to me, it's just so crystal clear, but everybody has a different opinion. And that's why there's chocolate and vanilla ice cream. And that's why, everybody does things their own way. But I'm just like, we
Yeah.
all, well, here's another rant and then we'll wrap it up because I know you don't have all day. I could do this all day. But the other thing is clients that, now I just lost my train of thought with the price separate. Where was I going with that?
Well, I can kind of chime in. You know what I'm going to do with my daughter, right? Is I feel like it's a little different for people right out of beauty school as well. So we're going to have a separate price list for her that
Yes.
she can already start doing touch-ups, blowouts, curled style, conditioning treatments. She wants to do scalp treatments. So there's a lot of things she can do, Brazilian blowouts, things like this. The hair cutting, she can't do any of that. I'm not letting her do any of that until she gets trained. But so like we are going to have a really low tiered pricing for her. So if we charge 105 for the root touch up, then maybe she'll charge like $60 for it, right? So we're working on her price list right now, and I'm hoping to kind of get her busy there, and then I'll teach her how to retain each one, how to rebook them, and all of those things. But we'll see how that goes in the salon, doing a lower price list. But I'm going to just market her to the new people that come to the salon because we get a lot of new people because we've been open 30 years. We're in a great location, and then we use Vagaro, and so they have free marketing. And every time I get a new stylist in the salon, I put something out there like a daily deal, and they always get booked. So I'm not really worried about getting her booked up, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to try something like that. I've never done it. I usually make them wait like 3 to 6 months before they do someone, but I think she could be ready to do some people.
I think, Stacy, you're on the right track because I think this new generation of stylists,
Yeah.
everything has been so instant for them on their phones.
Yep.
And with AI and all the other things, we don't want to wait for anything. So I think the industry digging their heels in on you have
Yeah.
to be an apprentice for two, like where we came from, it was you had
Yep.
to be 2 years as an apprentice before you even
Mhm.
touched a head of hair. And if you
Yeah.
didn't have that grit, that tenacity, and that like I'm doing this no matter what, it was
Yeah.
easy to give up because you're like, I don't want to live home until I'm 30 years old. Like I need to go get my own apartment, go live my life.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. And we've had different tiers of pricing
Mhm.
since the salon opened. And what's nice is it gives the client a choice. For
Mhm.
me, I would rather be told on the phone, what we say to people is if you called, we'd say, hi, Stacy, have you been here before? And you say, no, I've not been here before. And we say, what is the price that you're accustomed to paying for your root touch up? And if you said, usually like 65, oh, awesome. We're going to put you in with whatever your daughter's name is.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't become like, well, would you like to try the newbie? She's brand new and she's practiced. Like we don't get into all that. We're just like, hey, you're used to paying that, then you're used to paying that. For me, this is where I was going. I got my
Yeah.
thought back.
Okay, good.
So for me, people would say to me, why don't you work with an assistant? Why don't you have them putting your retouches on? I'm like, because the client booked with me.
Yeah.
If they wanted an assistant, they would have called and said, hey, do you have a model night? I want to be a guinea pig. So
Yeah.
a lot of stylists will do a client once, and then the next visit, they say, oh, I'll see you in 5 weeks, acting like it's going to be them. And then
Uh-huh.
they have the newbie junior do it, and the client's uncomfortable. They don't want to say, like, hey, I'm not good with this. My clients don't, they're not shy. They would say it to me. But that's why I've never done that, because what you're doing is different. You're saying, I'm giving her this opportunity,
Mhm.
promoting her at a reduced rate. They know what they're signing up for. So I
Mhm.
respect that you're doing that. And I think whether you know it or not, you're going to become the go-to place that's going to attract a lot of new talent, because most people aren't getting that opportunity to get their hands in hair right away. So I
No,
love that you're
they
doing that.
aren't. I'm seeing all of her friends. A bunch of them are coming over tomorrow night. They're doing like a dream board, her and her classmates, or vision board night. But I see a lot of them like looking like, where can I work? What can I do? And you know what? They are all looking for this kind of mentorship. And I'm like, should I do it? Should I just hire all of these girls? Because I know I can really help them. So I'm going to start with London, and then we'll just kind of go from there. But yeah, it's a completely different time. A lot of them, one of her friends that graduated went right into a salon. And I don't know if she's renting or what, but she's like, I see her on Instagram. Like, and she's doing all kinds of hair. And I'm thinking, wow, like I didn't do that.
Whole different
So
world. Yeah.
it's a different world. They don't want to pay the salon. They, want to make their own money. Like it's interesting.
But
Yep.
it's a whole different ballgame. I always point out, just like the girl with the taxes, I
Yeah.
say it's one thing to, okay, you don't want to split what you're doing with the owner, but the owner's paying for it, the color, the gloves, the cotton. Like, I just went on a rant on one of my coffee chats about my most recent visit to the beauty supply, getting four
Oh
little
yeah.
bottles of Redken Shades EQ. I had such sticker shock because in the salon, you know how it goes. We order a bunch of stuff, so you don't really break down like what each thing is, and it's just getting higher and higher. But
Uh-huh.
that little visit, I was like, people that are doing suites aren't realizing all the costs that are there that are
Yeah.
hidden, that they don't, factor in.
Yeah.
And, right now it's snowing in Pennsylvania where my salon
Oh,
is. So if my
okay.
staff were in a suite, that snow day, they're not getting paid from my salon today if they're not working. But if they have a suite and they're not working, they have to pay.
That's
They're
true.
they're not
Oh
only not
yeah.
earning money, now they owe money on that day. That's a whole different ballgame. And that's something that I don't think people are factoring into their choices.
Yeah,
So
yeah, there's definitely a list of pros and cons for all of it, and it's not a one size fits all. And there's opportunity for all of it. It's just know what you're getting yourself into with each thing that you decide.
absolutely. Well, I want to wrap up with sharing your projects, because
Yeah.
you're not a boastful girl and you're not boasting. I'm going to boast for you. So Stacy has coming up a salon owners thrive tribe, which I think sounds amazing. And I wish it was around when Bryn was thriving as an owner. And for the non-salon owner, for the stylist, she's doing the hairstylist biz mastery program. So both of those programs are rolling out. One of
Mhm.
them I know has a very long wait list. People have been waiting for her to
Yeah.
do this. So I'm very excited that she's definitely getting things going. So Stacy, people are going to want to know how to get on that wait list. Where can they find you and sign up?
Yeah, so they can go to my website. It's Stacy Monroe. So it's StacyMonroe.com. Both of the wait lists there are on the front page. And the salon owner one I just came up with because I'm going to do it all in mastermind trainings. So each burning question for a salon owner, they need real answers. And so each month I will have a mastermind based on whatever their questions are. And then there'll be a ton of core training in there that I know are super important for them to know. And avoid the costly mistakes and all of that. So I'm really excited to get going on that. And then the hairstylist business mastery, it's a 6-week group coaching, and we're going to be unlocking the secrets to 6 figures behind stylist chairs. It's going to be like a personal blueprint for them because everyone's different. Again, they work 3 days, 4 days, and so it's going to be customizable for them as well. So I'm super excited to get going on that. And so they just have to go to the front page and get themselves on the wait list.
And it's Monroe, Monroe.
Yep, no S. If they hit the S, they're going to go to the salon
Got
because the
it.
name of the salon is Stacy Monroe's. So it's just no, so stacymonroe.com.
And
And
it's
there is
Stacy, no E, correct? I always
no
get
E. And there is a link for each one if you want. I can give them to you and you can put them in the show notes if you want.
that. Yeah, that's awesome. We'll do that as well.
Yay.
Well, thank you, my friend. We finally did this. This has been like
Yeah.
literally 6 months of trying to get dates together. So I'm happy we finally did
Yeah.
it. It's always
Thanks
great
so
to see.
much. Girl,
Awesome.
you're amazing. Thank you so much for having me on here.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. And thank you all for listening. And we will see you on the next one.
Bye.